The night quietly covered the Central General Hospital one evening in 2015, leaving only the light from the long, cold corridors. With absolute silence broken only by the rhythmic sound of machinery, this was a place that seemed to be reserved only for life and healing. But hidden behind the walls of that prestigious hospital was the story of Evan Parker, a young nurse with a bright face and sharp eyes. Evan, with his handsome appearance and confident demeanor, was not just an ordinary medical staff. At the age of 24, he possessed a special charm that few people could resist. Although he had just started working, Evan quickly made an impression on patients and colleagues with his enthusiasm and thoughtfulness, a perfect shell hiding complex intrigues. In the darkness of the hospital rooms, the meetings took place not simply about healthcare, but also the secret and mysterious relationships between Evan and three elderly, powerful and wealthy patients. Harold Grant, a wealthy businessman at 58, was frequently hospitalized due to chronic heart disease. Edwin Stone, a retired politician at 61, was once one of the city's most influential men. And finally, Samuel Pierce, a famous artist who had gone through many life events at 63. All three men, in their weakest moments, found comfort in Evan's caring hands. None of them knew of the other's existence, and of course no one suspected that the young nurse had used her charm and devotion to take advantage of them, in a subtle and skillful way. Secret meetings with Harold, Edwin and Samuel took place in every corner of the hospital, from the hidden corners of the corridors to the private rooms. They gave Evan more than just trust, but also gifts, privileges, and promises to help when he needed it. However, that relationship is not simply an exchange of feelings, but a dangerous game that Evan himself created. Each step is a test of his own trust and courage. No one expected that a hospital, which is a symbol of hope, could contain such a dark secret. Evan is like a patient predator waiting, knowing how to exploit the loneliness and fragility of men who have lived their whole lives under the halo of power. Will everything be smooth forever, or when this secret is exposed, will everything fall apart in despair and pain? Between the light and darkness of the hospital, a story full of mystery and intrigue is gradually revealed, making viewers wonder, who will be the final winner in this game of love and power, Evan Parker, or the men he has gradually pushed into the net of love? Harold Grant, a powerful and cold businessman, has gradually built a successful career at the age of 58. On the outside, he is a calm and calculating man. However, in the darkened hospital rooms at Central General Hospital, Harold's relationship with Evan Parker, a young nurse with a charming smile, is a secret that he is determined to hide. Their meetings take place regularly when the hospital is quiet, but gradually Harold no longer feels like he is the only one receiving attention from Evan. Unsettled, he begins to follow the young nurse's footsteps, trying to understand Evan's secret life. In another hidden corner of the hospital, Edwin Stone, a retired powerful politician, is also caught up in a strange relationship with Evan. Edwin was once a man of great secrets, a schemer when faced with political enemies. But now, in his furtive encounters with Evan in the dark corridors, Edwin is the pursuer, craving the presence of the young nurse. Those brief moments make him feel strangely powerful. However, like Harold, he quickly realizes that he is not the only one Evan cares about. Using the intelligence-gathering skills that brought him to the top of politics, Edwin begins to secretly collect evidence, every clue about Evan's other relationships, determined to understand the nurse's secret. Samuel Pierce, a lonely artist at the age of 63, has a different path into Evan's life. A painter who has experienced many ups and downs, Samuel often finds solace in meetings with Evan in the empty rooms of the hospital. Under the yellow lights, their conversations always took place in silence, but Evan's presence gradually became something that Samuel depended on. However, one fateful evening, Samuel discovered the truth. Evan was not only attached to him. With the mindset of an artist who had faced disappointment and betrayal, Samuel silently observed and collected every piece of evidence, determined not to be a victim in this secret game. All three men, in different positions of power, gradually realized that they were not the central figures in Evan's life. Each had different motivations, but all were aiming for the same goal: to control Evan Parker and regain exclusivity in the relationship. The undercover investigations, the chance encounters at the hospital, and the secret confrontations between them gradually become an unpredictable and tense drama. Beneath the charming appearance, Evan has skillfully built a complex network of relationships that none of the three men can fully control. With the secret details gradually revealed, the darkness in the hospital corridor seems to thicken, covering the secrets that Evan has built. And then, when the tension reaches its peak, an unexpected explosion can happen at any time, plunging everything into a bright but dangerous light. Can Evan continue to maintain this game, or will the darkness in the hospital swallow everything, exposing a dark truth that none of them can accept? Rumors about Evan Parker begin to spread throughout Central General Hospital. Everything seems to be a little different since the young nurse with an attractive appearance and built intimate relationships with some special patients. Evan's strange charm gradually became the topic of whispers in every staff room, making the hospital atmosphere stuffy and suspicious. Co-workers caught glimpses of Evan in secret conversations with Harold Grant, a successful businessman, Edwin Stone, a famous former politician, and Samuel Pierce, a mysterious elderly artist. No one had enough evidence to question Evan, but the inquisitive looks began to appear as the beginning of a sudden explosion. The secret of the late-night meetings gradually became a psychological game between Evan and three high-ranking men. They were no longer easy patients to manipulate. Harold Grant, a keen operator by nature, soon realized that he was not the only one receiving Evan's attention. For Harold, this discovery was an insult. He quietly began to monitor Evan's every move, noting every glance, every time Evan left his room at odd hours. He quietly devised a plan to catch him red-handed and control Evan, even if it meant going beyond the boundaries of a patient. Edwin Stone, a seasoned politician, was no pushover either. One night, when he happened to see Evan coming out of Harold's room, Edwin felt betrayed. As a former powerful man, Edwin began a covert campaign to gather information about Evan. He uses all the skills that helped him climb to the top of power, from secret phone calls to probing information from junior medical staff. The more Edwin investigates, the more it becomes clear that he intends to expose the whole truth about Evan. He is not afraid to put pressure on Evan to expose the game that Evan is staging. In another dark corner of the story, Samuel Pierce, an artist who has experienced many storms, sees Evan as a dishonest person. Unlike Harold and Edwin, Samuel decides to play a more sophisticated game. He begins to keep clear evidence of Evan's encounters with other patients. Secret photos taken from phones, secret recordings in hospital break rooms. Samuel collects every detail to be able to expose the truth. He, an artist, puts his sophistication into each surveillance plan, trying to build a complete portrait of Evan's secret life. Each of these three men is not only being manipulated by Evan, but is also caught up in a secret, uncompromising fight with each other. They quietly investigate each other, trying to find out who can win Evan's absolute attention. Every chance encounter in the hallway, every sharp glance between them is like a silent declaration of war, while Evan remains calm as if he doesn't realize the tension is rising. The silent confrontations gradually reach an uncontrollable level. Three powerful men, in the race to own Evan, are ready to push everything to the limit. They begin to delve deeper into a dangerous game, interwoven with battles of wits, battles of strength, and dark secrets that they try to hide. Meanwhile, Central General Hospital is becoming increasingly unstable, with suspicion and tension covering every dark corner. Although the game between Evan and his victims is still going on quietly, an unexpected explosion can happen at any time. The night was dark at Central General Hospital, with only the flickering lights and the sound of medical equipment quietly working in the darkness. On one such night, the body of Evan Parker, a young nurse, was discovered in a warehouse near the hospital. His body was left cold and brutal, with multiple layers of injuries that suggested a vicious and deliberate attack. The police determined that this was not just an ordinary murder, but an act of hatred and jealousy, a bloody murder carefully calculated to punish. As the investigation unfolded, The list of suspects quickly narrowed down to three powerful, motivated men who had deep connections to the victim: Harold Grant, a cold businessman; Edwin Stone, a retired veteran politician; and Samuel Pierce, a lonely artist. All three were confirmed to have been near the warehouse on the night of the murder, a suspicious detail. Harold Grant, a powerful businessman, is used to controlling everything around him, including his relationship with Evan. His possessiveness turns into an obsession when he discovers that Evan is not loyal to him. Harold, once a successful and seemingly unshakable man, quickly becomes paranoid and prone to extreme actions. His presence near the scene and his jealous motives make Harold the first suspect on the police's list. Edwin Stone, a retired politician who was once powerful, was also present at the scene that night. Edwin is no stranger to betrayal and political intrigue, but the betrayal by someone he trusted has sent him into a rage that even he cannot hide. With a history of playing complex political games, the police believe Edwin is capable of orchestrating a vicious plan to punish the person who betrayed him. Samuel Pierce, a lonely artist living in his own world, is the third and equally suspicious suspect. His relationship with Evan has an obsessive color. Samuel is drawn into this relationship and feels betrayed after discovering Evan's dishonesty. Hurt and feeling like a cheater, Samuel may have turned to violence as a way to erase that obsession. Samuel's appearance near the scene makes it impossible for the police to ignore him on the list of suspects. The police are faced with a complex case when all three men have enough motives, reasons, and opportunities to attack Evan. The investigation is not only about finding the killer but also about facing the dark relationships hidden in the darkness of the hospital. The statements of the three suspects are full of contradictions and lead to suspicions, creating a mysterious maze that the police must overcome to expose the truth. What is behind this murder? Is Evan Parker just a victim of jealousy, or is he a link in a calculated conspiracy? Each piece of evidence revealed, each answer leaves many new questions, pushing the investigation deeper into the darkness of the hidden relationships in Central Hospital. The search of the crime scene was intense as investigators combed through every dark corner of the warehouse where Evan Parker's body had been found. Traces on the warehouse floor and scattered items became the first pieces of the puzzle in a complex murder case. Hospital security cameras quickly revealed a shocking detail. On the night of the murder, all three men with secret connections to Evan Harold Grant, Edwin Stone, and Samuel Pierce had been seen near the warehouse, each at different times. Each time they appeared on camera, their expressions and gestures conveyed mystery and tension. As the items were collected, police found key pieces of evidence: a pair of gloves with fresh mud stains, shoe prints that matched the size of all three suspects, and several pieces of paper with threatening messages mixed in with scraps of paper near the scene. The threatening text messages directed at Evan were traced to three different phone numbers, linking them to three suspects. Harold, Edwin, and Samuel all claimed they were not the killers, but the evidence made the police doubt the truth of their statements. None of them admitted to any violent acts against Evan, but the clues gradually connected into a chain of facts that could not be ignored. Next, the police began to question each suspect individually, but it was the contradictions in their statements that opened up a new line of investigation. To clarify further, the investigators expanded the internal investigation in the hospital and approached a colleague of Evan's. This colleague revealed a key detail: rumors about Evan's secret relationship with the three men had become an open secret in the hospital corridors. According to the testimony, this colleague had witnessed Evan's secret meetings with Harold, Edwin, and Samuel. The jealousy and tension of the three men during these meetings did not escape the discreet observation of the surrounding staff. Through the investigation and the testimony of this colleague, the police determined that Edwin Stone was the last person to see Evan on the night of the murder. Edwin admitted to having a brief meeting with Evan to clear up some misunderstandings, but insisted that he had left before anything happened. Meanwhile, Harold Grant claimed that he had long since ended his relationship with Evan and had only happened to be at the hospital that night to check on his personal health. Samuel Pierce, a more reserved man, said only that he had come to say goodbye to Evan because he discovered that he was no longer the only person Evan cared about. Each statement contained a small but questionable contradiction. As the police compared the evidence with the testimony, The picture of the night of the murder became clearer. Which of the three men had turned jealousy into a motive for murder? And were the threatening messages a warning from one of them, or an elaborate plot to frame the other? As the investigation deepens, the secrets between Evan and three powerful men are exposed, leaving behind a maze of lies, betrayal, and hatred. The months-long investigation came to a close as the pieces began to fit together, and the killer was revealed. Edwin Stone, a former powerful politician. In the darkness of the warehouse where Evan Parker's body was found, the cold evidence left no room for excuses. Security cameras captured Edwin's image on the night of the murder, and shoe prints on the warehouse floor matched the shoes he had worn that night. The investigation confirmed that, in a rage upon discovering Evan's secret relationships with other men, Edwin lost control. Extreme jealousy drove him to an irreversible act, turning a passionate love into a cold-blooded crime. Edwin was charged with first-degree murder, and in a tense trial, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. The price of uncontrolled rage was decided, ending a life once filled with power and ambition. What Edwin had to pay was not only his freedom but also his honor, his status, and everything he had. However, in this story, Edwin is not the only one who suffers the consequences of jealousy and secrecy. Harold Grant, a once successful businessman who had pinned his hopes on his relationship with Evan, leaves the city in shame and loss. The rumors surrounding the case and his connection with Evan have shaken his image in the eyes of everyone. Unable to face the past, Harold leaves everything behind, looking for a new life, hoping to erase what happened. Samuel Pierce, a lonely and sensitive artist, chooses to face the pain in his own way. He gives up the artistic career he once lived and died for, retreating into the shadows. Samuel is haunted by his mistakes, always tormented by the thought that if he had not been caught up in that jealous and possessive relationship, Evan would not have suffered such a tragic end. Every day is a reminder of the price of greed and blindness that he will never forget. Evan Parker's murder is more than just a final act of closure for three men. It serves as a warning of what jealousy can do when it gets out of control. The relationship with Evan, while initially exhilarating, turns into a dark spiral of hatred and secrecy. Evan's death is a costly one, not just for Edwin but for everyone involved, a hard lesson in hatred and obsession. This heartbreaking incident not only changes the lives of three powerful men but also spreads throughout the community. Central General Hospital, once seen as a symbol of healing, is now associated with this cruel story. Everyone is reminded that obsession and ambition can lead to terrible consequences if left unchecked. From now on, the story of Evan Parker and those three men will forever be a reminder in the hearts of those who know the case. A dark truth about greed, jealousy, and hidden secrets.